I'm telling you right now, NASCAR fans absolutely lost their minds after COTA, because the second Tyler Reddick held off Shane Van Gisbergen late on a road course, this thing stopped being just a race result and turned into a full-blown controversy. I mean, instantly. The checkered flag falls, Reddick makes history, and the entire internet starts screaming about cheating, scandal, NASCAR in trouble. What did we just watch? And then everybody turns to Shane Van Gisbergen, because if anyone was going to throw fuel on that fire, it would be the guy who just got denied in the exact kind of race people expect him to own. That's why this story blew up so fast, not just because Reddick won, because of who he beat, where he beat him, and how fast the entire fan base went from shock to suspicion. And if you're a real NASCAR fan who lives for the emotion, the arguments, the chaos, and the honest reaction after huge moments like this, go ahead and like this video and subscribe right now. Because this channel is for people who actually care about what these races mean. We're building a real community here, and after what happened at COTA, trust me, this is exactly the kind of debate real fans are going to be talking about all week. Now let's set the scene the right way, because this race already had massive pressure attached to it before the green flag even dropped. This was the Duramax Texas Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas on March 1, 2026, the first road course race of the NASCAR Cup season. Tyler Reddick rolled in, driving the number 45 Toyota for 23XI Racing, with wins already in the Daytona 500 and Atlanta. That meant he had a chance to do something no driver in NASCAR history had ever done before. Win the first 3 races of a Cup season. Let that sink in. Nobody had ever opened the year 3 for 3. But standing right in the middle of that story was Shane Van Gisbergen in the number 97 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing, the driver who had become the most feared road course racer in the series, coming in chasing a 6th straight road course win. So this race was not normal from the beginning. It was history versus dominance, momentum versus reputation. And everybody knew it. The race itself had tension all over it. Ross Chastain was a factor early and won Stage 1. Ty Gibbs worked the strategy and grabbed Stage 2. Ryan Blaney stayed in the fight. Christopher Bell hung around. Michael McDowell quietly turned in another tough road course day. Connor Zilisch had a messy race with spins that kept him from turning speed into a headline finish. This wasn't one of those easy, clean, predictable road course afternoons. This was a strategy-heavy war. Pit cycles mattered, stage positioning mattered, tire management mattered, fuel windows mattered. And through all of that, Tyler Reddick kept doing exactly what a top-level driver is supposed to do. He stayed calm, stayed out front, and stayed in command of the race flow. He started on pole, led a race-high 58 of the 95 laps, and kept putting himself in the spot where everyone else had to come get him. But here's the thing. No matter how good Reddick looked all afternoon, every NASCAR fan watching knew the whole mood could change the second Shane Van Gisbergen got close late, because SVG has built that kind of aura on road courses. If he gets there in the closing laps, the assumption is simple. Trouble is coming. He doesn't need a huge advantage. He just needs one opportunity, one braking zone, one weak exit, one mistake. So when Ross Chastain lost a wheel and brought out that crucial late caution, suddenly the whole race got compressed into one final shootout. Lap 79 restart. Reddick out front, Blaney right there, SVG lining up third. Then boom, Van Gisbergen attacks through the S's, clears Blaney, and jumps into second. At that point, every single fan watching knew exactly what was on the table. Reddick had history in front of him. SVG had the race right there in his windshield, and the pressure went through the roof. For several laps, it felt like the move was coming. It really did. You could feel it building. Every time SVG got a little closer, it looked like maybe this was the corner, maybe this was the run, maybe this was where Reddick would finally blink. And I think that's why the reaction afterward was so explosive. Fans have seen Shane Van Gisbergen close those kinds of gaps before. Fans have seen him own road courses before. So when Tyler Reddick didn't crack, when he kept answering the pressure, when he kept taking away the opening, people almost didn't know how to process it. Every time SVG got close, Reddick seemed to find another step. Every time it felt like the number 97 was about to force the issue, the number 45 covered it. And then the most shocking part happened. Instead of just barely hanging on, Reddick started to pull away. By the time the checkered flag dropped, the margin was 3.944 seconds. Let that sink in. What felt like a knife-edge battle in real time ended with a gap that looked almost comfortable on paper. And that is exactly when the cheating claims exploded, not because NASCAR announced a problem, not because an inspection failed, not because Shane Van Gisbergen walked out and directly accused Tyler Reddick of doing something illegal. No, the claims exploded because the result felt so shocking that a lot of fans immediately assumed something had to be wrong. That's the real heart of this story. The disbelief became a scandal. The reaction became a controversy. The fan base saw the road course king get beaten late at COTA and instantly started asking if the sport had another integrity problem on its hands. Now this is where it gets really interesting, because the headline version of this story and the actual version are not exactly the same. Everybody expected SVG to come out furious. Everybody expected him to say something sharp, something loaded, something that would make the whole situation even more radioactive. But when he actually spoke after the race, what he said changed the whole picture. He admitted they lacked a little bit of turn and a little bit of drive. He said Reddick was amazing. He said Tyler's driving was immaculate. He basically explained that every time he got close, Reddick would step it back up. In other words, Shane van Gisbergen didn't come out feeding the cheating fury. He came out giving the winner respect. And that matters a lot. Now, did that stop the outrage? Of course not. This is NASCAR. Once fans decide something feels off, the noise takes on a life of its own. But here's the thing. Post-race inspection found no issues with Reddick's car. That matters. SVG's own comments matter. The actual race flow matters. And when you put those pieces together, the story gets a lot clearer. Tyler Reddick did not luck into this. He did not steal it out of nowhere. He was fast all day, controlled the race, survived the late pressure, and then made history by becoming the first driver ever to win the first 3 races of a Cup season. That's not a fluke, that's a statement. And the implications are huge. 23SI Racing suddenly didn't just look hot, they looked terrifying. This was the 3rd straight win to open the season for the organization. The first team to do that since Petty Enterprises way back in 1963. Michael Jordan was celebrating on pit road. Billy Scott looked sharp on the box. Reddick left COTA with a 70-point lead over teammate Bubba Wallace, while Chase Elliott sat 72 back. That's a massive early season advantage. That changes how the garage sees him. That changes how rivals race him. And maybe most importantly, it changes the conversation around road courses, because now Tyler Reddick has proof that he can stare down Shane van Gisbergen in the closing laps and come out on top. At the same time, I don't think this hurts SVG at all. If anything, it proves how powerful his reputation already is. The entire fan base reaction was built on one basic idea. People are so used to Shane van Gisbergen being the guy on road courses that when somebody beats him in that environment, they struggle to believe what they just saw. That tells you how high his standard is. That tells you how much respect he commands. So I don't look at this as SVG falling off. I look at this as a rivalry getting even better. Because now Reddick knows he can beat him. And SVG knows exactly how close he really was. That's dangerous for everybody else. So now I want to hear from you. Because this is the debate that's going to keep NASCAR fans arguing after COTA. Did Shane van Gisbergen's comments shut down the cheating narrative and prove Tyler Reddick simply beat him fair and square? Or do you think the fact fans exploded this fast shows NASCAR has a much deeper trust problem than anyone wants to admit? Drop your take in the comments, and if you want more NASCAR drama, more real reaction, and more passionate breakdowns after the biggest moments in the sport, like this video, comment below, and subscribe right now, because this community is only getting louder from here.